I've worked in so many different care sectors since coming to the UK 4 years ago. I've worked in domiciliary, I've worked in care homes, I've worked in support, especially support work. I've worked for the NHS. I've also worked on the bank, which means I've worked in different departments, different wards, different hospital, NHS settings. And there are things that I've observed. And this video is not to judge anybody, but to share knowledge and experience. And what I'm going to talk about in this video are some of the mistakes that are keeping most carers, especially migrants, stuck in one position. And I've come to the conclusion that it's not that there are no opportunities. It's not that there's no career progression, there's no growth in this industry, but it's based on quite a few things which, if someone watches this video, if someone is a carer and they change that, they change their strategy, they change the decisions that they take day to day, they could see growth, they could see progression. So let's get right into it in this video. The first mistake that people are making is working hard but without direction. One thing that I know for a fact, and that is known by almost everybody, is that migrant carers, they work so hard, picking up double shifts, working extra work, working 2-3 jobs, working for the agency. However, most of them have got no career story. Most of them are not accumulating skills. Most of them have got no actual goal inside to say, the reason why I'm doing these 2 jobs is because I want that experience in that, so that this can complement what I want to do in the near future. I'll tell you my story. I came to the country in 2022 as a domiciliary care worker, but I've always wanted career progression. I've always wanted to explore different sectors and experience different sectors of the industry. So what that means is, obviously, sometimes you have to work simultaneously. Instead of you working double shifts in domiciliary or where you work, you could say, I want to complement that with hospital experience. So you go on to say, I'll keep my domiciliary job because it gives me sponsorship, but I also join NHS Bank so that I get to experience the hospital environment. I get to work in different sectors. That is just an example. And when I worked in domiciliary care, I had to join an agency. Partly it was because I also needed to experience how it is like to work in a care home without me leaving my job. I loved my job. I loved where I was, but I had a strategy in place. So it's not about working hard. It's not about picking shifts. It's not about doing the double shifts and doing all that work, but you need to have a strategy, because in the end, if you've got no direction, no goals, all you're just doing is to build fatigue, and over time, it will come back to bite you. So what you need is a clear progression strategy. What you need is knowledge of the skills portfolio that you would need for you to then leverage, for you to then transition into that role that you're targeting. What you also need is evidence of leadership. Where you are or where you are working, are you collecting evidence in terms of feedback, in terms of patient feedback, in terms of trainings, things like that? Are you getting the exposure so that in the event that 2-3 years down the line, you want to apply for those jobs, you are eligible and you have something to show for that? Also, you have to be intentional about your development. I always say this, especially when I talk to people that are in my mentorship programs. If you are on this platform and you're watching this video and you're not there, please go on my Facebook page. It's Florence Musekiwa, and do subscribe there. And we can then give you one-to-one support, mentorship, and share also how best to leverage in this country, in this career. So these are some of the things that you can do for you to position yourself for future progress. This is some of the things that you need to then be doing if you're a carer and you're serious about growth and career progression. Mistake number 2 is not understanding the system. Obviously, we're talking growth, we're talking progression, but how can you best position yourself for growth, for progression, if you do not understand how progression works in the system or in the industry that you are in? I'll give you an example. Structured organizations like the NHS do follow a certain specific banding system to say from band 2, band 3, band 4. And they have got specific expectations to say, if you are to work as a band 3 healthcare assistant, this is what you need to have. This is what you need to be doing. If you're going to go and transition into band 4, this is what you need to have. So sometimes it's not about you having worked in that system or in that industry for a long time. Sometimes it takes positioning. It takes understanding what is needed. So here is how best you can understand the system. It's through mentorship and asking the relevant questions in your day-to-day work. Also studying job descriptions. I'll give you an example. Suppose you're targeting to be a Band 3 or Band 4 healthcare assistant in a certain specific department. It's about time that you start job descriptions there so that you know what is expected, so that you can start to work towards that. Also, part and parcel of the things that you can do to leverage is to understand documentation, understand the jargon, understand the protocol, the expectations for that particular ward or for that particular place that you are aspiring to work in. It's all about understanding. The difference between those that succeed into progression, who succeed into leveling up, is a tiny difference in understanding the system. Sometimes you could say, I've been working here for 5 years, and then they went on to pick someone who's been here for 2 years. The difference is in understanding the system. Sometimes systems do not favor just hard work, but they require hard work complemented by people that understand the system and have gathered enough evidence to say, I'm ready for this. This is what I've done. I applaud people that are studying their NVQs, level 3, level 4, level 5. These are people that have understood the assignment. These are people who have understood that for you to transition into the next level, part and parcel of that requirement is the qualification. It's very important, and we're going to talk about it separately in another video. All the more reasons why, if you're serious about career progression and you're a migrant, please do stay on the platform, subscribe, stay on this platform, because we are being intentional about our growth. We are owning career progression. We are owning our own growth and forging a path for ourselves as caregivers, as migrants that want to progress and succeed in the diaspora. Mistake number 3 is ignoring documentation. This one I had to learn and relearn. I had to change the way that I think for me to understand what it means. And I know a lot of people do a brilliant job. A lot of carers, migrant carers, are amazing, are compassionate and caring. However, most of them are not documenting what they would have done, and therefore they're not positioning themselves for recognition. Of course, care isn't just about compassion, isn't it just about turning up, but it is also about documenting. How you document plays a bigger role in terms of your career progression. If your notes are just vague, unclear, defensive, then know that you are not ready. There are people that are actually shrinking. You can tell by reading in notes that someone is shrinking. Someone is not wanting to really come out and express themselves and express who they are and what they have offered to a service user or to a client or to a patient. One of the things that stuck out wherever I've gone, the key thing that they talk about when they talk about documentation is the fact that if it's not documented, it's not done. So how are you going then to be visible if you are not documenting? Senior roles require risk recognition, clear reporting, and escalation awareness. And how can you evidence that you're escalating? How do you evidence that you've got a risk perception, that you have risk awareness? It's through your documentation. It's through what you have taken note of. It's through how you recognize day-to-day changes, oscillations in terms of someone's well-being, and you document, and then you can't escalate what you haven't documented. And if you escalate it and you haven't documented it, there is no reference point. And obviously, when we talk about responsibility, when we talk about leveling up, documentation is one of the key things. It's one of the defining day-to-day things that is expected if someone is a senior, is into management, is into supervisory roles, leading roles. So definitely, this is a huge mistake. And if one fixes this, they are actually positioning themselves for progress. And remember, promotion panels notices documentation above everything. They read those notes. Remember, the notes that we write about the care that we offer actually are legal documents. So the language that we use there, how factual we put in there, not to sugarcoat anything, but being factual, timeous, and being real in our documentation. When and how we document also matters. You finished a course, suppose this is in domiciliary care. Why would you leave it until you get home for you to finish those notes? Do those notes in real time. There is a reason why they should be done in real time. And if you're serious about growth, documentation is one of the things that you need to start taking seriously. Mistake number 4 is avoiding responsibility until it's given. You sometimes even actually hear people saying, oh, it's not my job, or that's above my pay grade. If you're serious about growth, if you're serious about leveraging, pivoting, and leveling up in this season, then definitely taking up responsibility, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody has actually assigned to you, is a sign that you're ready. And these are some of the things that promotion panels, your managers will notice. Some carers will say, well, I'll wait until they promote me for me to start doing this. Unfortunately, you're only hurting your own progression. You're only limiting your own growth by that attitude. How then do you demonstrate responsibility? Through mentoring others, supporting juniors in your work, escalating, the way you escalate concerns, the way you document concerns, really do show responsibility. Challenging unsafe practices. I always have issues with people in our community as newbies, the way we like to be liked. Sometimes you can see unsafe practices. Sometimes you can see that this is not how things should be done. How you look at that and how you challenge that. By challenging it, we're not saying be aggressive, but just simply pointing out this is not how it's done, or that's an unsafe way of doing it. Actually, it shows that you're ready to fill in those big girl, big boy boots. However, if you see something that is wrong, you see a concern, and then you just look aside and go like, oh, they'll be in trouble. I don't want trouble. Then that means you are not ready for that promotion. You are not ready for leading. You are not ready for growth in any way. You're not ready for responsibility. Also, the ability to stay calm when there is an incident. It could be something like maybe a staffing, how you carry that through, how you go through, suppose maybe there's sickness and then you're short-staffed, how you handle that whole situation portrays or says a lot about sense of responsibility, readiness for leadership. And believe you me, it's those little tiny incidents that your managers can notice and say, well, did you see how she handled that situation? Did you see how he did it? Did you see how he completed that whole shift, having to do the rest of the tasks on his own because we had a shortage or we had an emergency or we had sickness? That is how you position yourself for growth. So before the titles come, start acting like it. Start acting in those shoes that you want to fill. And this is how you get appointed. And you'll see a difference the same way they will see a difference in the way that what you do. Mistake number 5 is staying comfortable in agency work. Most carers, and when I say that, I don't just mean those that are on sponsorship, even some dependents, can get too comfortable for a long time doing agency work. Agency work is nice. You get the exposure. You don't get to commit and get attached to a particular department or particular team. And the money is good sometimes. However, if you're looking for progression, then steadiness, stability is very key. If you are looking to grow, then definitely being rooted in a system will make you understand who and you trust with your managers, and you trust with the rest of your team. And also, when you are committed to a team, opportunities for learning come your way. They can actually literally point you out for it to say, well, we want to invest in this person's progression, in this person's studies and career progression because they're a valuable member of the team. But if you're doing agency, they are a bit reluctant, a bit hesitant to commit because you can always move about. You're not of any fixed abode. One of the things as well that is an advantage when you're working in a team, in a particular team, and you're there for the longest, apprenticeship opportunities come your way. And I will be talking about these apprenticeships in my future videos. All the more reasons, if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed on this platform, please do so because you don't want to miss all those valuable things. We have seen things, we've come across things, we've learned. There's so many opportunities with apprenticeships and we're going to be talking about them on this platform. So all the more reasons why you need to click that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the valuable pointers that we need to point out if we are to grow. Also, when you are committed to a team, there is room for internal progression. They are seeing you every day. They're seeing what you do every day. You're a part and parcel of that team. So even management are looking at how much value you're giving. And in the event that there's an opportunity for internal progression, internal promotion, you'll be the first to be picked versus someone who is on agency. So there is a plus side to you joining a team permanently, to you committing to a team, to you becoming a part and parcel of an organization on a permanent basis. Mistake number 6, not clarifying qualifications early. Most migrants do assume that, oh, I had my ordinary level or I had my O-level maths and English from back home. But however, some organizations or some teams or some industries may not recognize that equivalence. So sometimes some people leave things until it's too late. And then it comes a time when you want to apply for that position and they go like, we are looking for someone with GCSE Maths and English. And you go like, oh, I did that back home. And they go like, oh, unfortunately, you should have done functional skills. Or someone who will say, oh, I've got a master's in so-and-so, or I've got a degree in so-and-so. Or you should have done a top-up diploma or top-up degree. Unfortunately, we don't recognize that. So a lot of people are making that mistake of not clarifying a bit earlier what is required if you're to progress into this pathway. What is it that I need if I am to become a team lead? What is it that I would need qualification-wise if I'm to become a senior carer? What sort of qualifications do I need if I'm going to be an assistant practitioner? If I'm going to be a specialist, this and this, what sort of qualifications do I need to have? Do my qualifications from back home suffice? Do my qualifications from home, they be translated? Can they be given any equivalence to say, well, because you studied such and such back home, you've an equivalent of level 4, level 3, level 6, whatever. So as a migrant who is eyeing promotion, who is eyeing progression, clarify as soon as you get an opportunity. That's the whole point of you going into those supervisions, into those appraisal. Clarify. Also clarify with HR. There's nothing wrong with you reading through. We've spoken earlier about reading the job descriptions and you just ringing or emailing HR, clarifying, this is what I have. And in the future, I would like to go in this direction. Do I need to do anything? Do I need top-up qualifications? Do I need my qualifications translated or any of that? This will give you leverage. Be proactive, clarify, and provide evidence. I always say this. Evidence is key. Evidence in terms of those certificates, evidence in terms of those, some institutions require you maybe to have your qualifications translated or given in equivalence. Do that earlier and be proactive about that promotion, about that growth that you need. Last but not least, mistake number 7, letting emotions or emotional decisions guide career decisions. Acting in anger. I've come across people that would resign in anger. I've come across people that get so frustrated they just resign on the spot. Believe you me, emotions need to be kept in check. Avoiding difficult conversations sometimes is hurting our growth and progression. How you handle those difficult conversations, how you're handling those turbulent in the workplace could really be a reflection of who you are as management or as a senior. So calm people progress better than those that are turbulent, very emotional, very unstable. Emotional reactions are costing long-term opportunities. People will always remember that one moment where you lost your temper, where you lost it. Some people have on the brink of their promotion, they've lost their cool, lashed out and headed in an resignation when that conversation could have been handled better. I do come across people, my coaching and mentorship program, which I run through Facebook. If you're not on there and you're serious about career progression, people are sharing with me stories to say, Flo, I'm in a very toxic place. Nobody sees me. Nobody recognizes my efforts and things. Sometimes all it takes is a conversation where we are talking about what is it that you're doing? What is it that you call toxicity? Redefining these things through calm, clear, independent conversation can actually make you see opportunities. Just last week, I'll share with you this briefly. Last week, I was talking to someone and they said, Flo, how do you do it? You're always positive and you always change jobs, and from one job to another, you always come across opportunities. How do you even do that? You're the lucky one. I said, I'm not lucky, but I always time my discussions, when I ask or when I have to go for a promotion or go for that growth opportunity, for that big ask. Sometimes I choose my battles. That's the right word. I really choose my battles wisely. Not because I'm any different or any wiser, but this is something that I'm already learning, that in this country, not everything is given on a silver platter. Not every progression is based on time. Some are based on endurance, patience, documentation, all the things that we've spoken about. So do not make that mistake of letting emotions ruin everything that you've worked for. Just one single moment of turbulence, one single moment of losing your cool and lashing out. So guys, what am I saying? I'm not saying the system is perfect. However, there are carers, migrant carers for that matter, who are progressing from Band 2 to Band 4, who are progressing into becoming nurses, becoming managers, becoming specialist support workers, becoming care coordinators, becoming everything that they've always dreamed of. And we should be asking ourselves, what is it that they're doing that is different from what we are doing or what you are doing specifically? Sometimes most of these people, it's not because they are any intelligent than you. It's not because they are any, not just about intelligence. And mostly it's not even about intelligence, but it is about strategy, documentation, positioning, and intentional growth, and also emotional maturity. How you tick all these boxes is how you will position yourself for that stronger promotion, for that career progression that you've been eyeing for. You could be positioned in a very good organization, which has got opportunities for learning, opportunities for apprenticeship, and all those things. But if your documentation is not top notch, you will not be picked. You will not be recommended for that. You could be in a system really that favors progression, growth. But if you're not emotionally intelligent, if you're not emotionally in check, do you think your manager will pick you for that? Do you think your colleagues will support you with that? Think about that. And again, we can never ignore the fact that growth is intentional. You can never leave your career progression or growth into the hands of others to say, well, the manager will pick me for that. You have to initiate those conversations. You have to start prioritizing your growth. So whenever you get an opportunity, it's all about wisely, intentions clear to say, well, if an opportunity arises, I would love to learn. I would love to upskill. I would love to go into a nursing program. I would love to go into a NVQ support worker program. I call it owning your growth. It's being intentional about your own growth. So guys, this is all I had for you in this video. If this has helped you So guys, that's all I had for you in this video. If this has helped you, type in the comments what sort of mistake that you've been struggling with. I've actually pinpointed. And also, if you're serious about career progression as a migrant abroad, this is the place to be. We're being intentional this year. We are growing, we are regrouping, we are talking strategies. So do subscribe, do stay on this platform. Put your notification bell on, because we are going to be talking about the nitty-gritties that will position us for success in the diaspora. And also, if you are quite serious about whatever that you're doing, go on Facebook to follow us and subscribe there as well. And we will reach out to you and support you one-to-one with these strategies, with those applications, with also other forms of support that you can need to position yourself for growth. So guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now. God bless you.